Fairhope Buccaneer Band, under the direction of Miss Blanche Simmons, has won several statewide awards. Here we see them at rehearsal. Bell Building at the Organic School. This is the building that was constructed by the colony in 1904 and operated as the Marietta Johnson School of Organic Education since 1908. Today, this building is still in use. Marietta Johnson died in 1938 in the school home located on the campus of the school she founded and loved and had made her life. Since that time, the school has had many administrators, all striving to maintain the principles that Mrs. Johnson had devoted her life to. Why the picture of the old water fountain? Well, if you used this fountain many years ago, you understand. And if you didn't use this fountain, well, you probably wouldn't understand, and I won't try to explain it. Some of the older buildings have been torn down or are marked for dismantling. Now, when I went to this school, this was the English cottage, and Mrs. Campbell taught this class. But this new building replaces the old buildings, and the traditions of this famous school are now available to still more generations. But no matter where you go, kids are kids. These two gentlemen appear to have some disagreement about something or other. Actually, closer investigation reveals that they are members of the cast of the Theater 98 production company. A tightly integrated amateur group that encompasses many arts and crafts, the Theater 98 organization has produced many of the more popular plays to the acclaim of the appreciative Eastern Shore theater goers. The cast, stage, and technical crews are composed of non-professionals who work carefully together in their respective fields to produce a tight-knit, polished production. Dr. Andrew Dakovich, Rose Tanner, Bill Petrie, John Meadows, Ed Dignan, Bob McDonough, Bill Milham, Gretchen Riggs, Ann McHugh, David Robertson, Bob Nargang, Alice and Dan Isherwood, Elsa McDonough, Sue Boone, Delilah Stewart, and Patty Gooden were associated in this production, and many more too. Besides very fine performances by all local talent, the costuming, lighting, and sound and direction are of professional caliber. Boo! This is a head-holding high hopper. You will note that the high hopper has a large, heavy-appearing head, a thin, spindly neck, and powerful legs designed for jumping. A joyous leap after a fast-running Hershey bar nearly always snapped the thin, spindly neck, and there was a time when the woods were full of high hopper heads. The species was in danger of extinction when one of them found that if he held his head while jumping, he saved his head and a pain in the neck. They found that it was necessary to hold their young to prevent them from jumping until they too had learned to hold their heads. Thus the name head-holding high hoppers. This gentle spoof and beautiful wood carving is the product of Craig Sheldon. Mr. Sheldon is nationally known for his artistic and highly imaginative creations. The man is a truly remarkable artist. His works are studies in symmetrics, exquisite craftsmanship, and attention-binding originality. A friend was visiting the night we took these pictures, Mr. Jim Gray of Daphne. Mr. Gray is a very fine artist in his own right, and his paintings are unusually beautiful works. Mr. Sheldon and his family designed and built their home, which reflects the artistic background of the family. The names of Margaret Bicker and Elise Hooker have been associated with metalcraft and other crafts for years in Fairhope. Miss Bigger, who graduated from the Organic School in 1926, later attended Cranbrook Academy of Art in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. She studied and taught under the late Arthur Neville Kirk, the renowned English silversmith. She returned to Fairhope in 1931, and she began to teach at the Organic School, where Miss Hooker was in her class, and soon joined Miss Bigger in teaching all of the crafts at the Organic School. This started a partnership that has lasted to this day. After 8 years of teaching at Organic, the Mrs. Bigger and Hooker started their own studio on Section Street. This was the first metal craft studio. The year was late 1938. As they expanded their studios, they located on Magnolia Avenue, and then in 1950 moved into their North Church Street location, a building that they had designed to fit perfectly their unique position in the community. Their students came from many parts of the world and the United States, and have ranged from 11 years to 84 years of age. Since 1926, it has been a tradition at the Organic School for the seniors to make their own class rings, and since 1939, the senior class has come to the Metalcraft Studio to make their rings. Many students have returned to make their own wedding rings. In 1963, these two ladies gave up their business here in Fairhope and moved to Michigan, and Fairhope will indeed miss these two gracious ladies. For many years, Roberta McHugh has operated a dancing school in Fairhope, and it's probable that the children of former students are now tapping and pirouetting about the house as a result of Roberta's classes. Somehow, in watching rough cuttings of these pictures, it wasn't the artistry or grace that struck my fancy about these younger dancers. What occurred to me was that this is the cutest age for these kids, and in these dances they are in costumes accenting the appeal of their ages, and this is truly their shining hour. The little girls are sure of themselves and maintain their poise even though they are lost and watching someone else who's also lost to determine what to do next. And I get the impression that the little boys are dying 1,000 deaths, and if given half an opportunity would break into a dead run and head for the woods. All in all, it reminds me of the Our Gang and Little Rascal films, and I believe that this is why I enjoy these films and why they're so charming. The faltering steps and the disagreeable effects of gravity on an otherwise flawless performance is why I enjoy watching these pictures. This is the inevitable production number. With these mirrors, it's possible for the girls to see the mistakes being made behind them as well as in front. Also, there's a greater choice of who to follow. You'll just have to imagine some tap dancing music here. There's no doubt that early dance instruction does develop poise and coordination. While many little girls dream of one day being a great ballerina, few even make a career of dancing of any sort. But the correctness of carriage and the sureness of step remain an integral part of the young lady's personal makeup. These pictures were taken in 1962. Already the younger children have shown much progress toward growing up. To the parents of these children, these films are invaluable. In another 10 or 15 years, there will be no way to express the value of these pictures. I wish to express my appreciation to Roberta McHugh and the parents of these children for the splendid cooperation in letting me take these pictures. One might say that the establishment of the Fairhope Courier was the epitome of foresight. Its first issue was before there was a Fairhope, and it was published in Iowa. There's hardly anyone here in Fairhope, old-timer or not, who has not thought Frances Crawford and the Fairhope Courier synonymous. She and the Courier grew up together. There wasn't a job connected with the paper that she could not or had not done. I remember her right here behind this typewriter, where for many years she spent many hours a day documenting the life of our community. Also, as long as I can remember, Mr. A.F. Gaston, undoubtedly better known as Spider Gaston, has been operating this linotype machine. Mr. Gaston knew just what screw to turn, what wire to bend, or just where to kick this thing to make it run smoothly. And as a boy, I used to go in and watch Mr. Gaston operate this fearsome machine from what I considered a safe distance. Mr. Gaston was the first white boy to be born in Fairhope back in 1896. Since 1963, the Courier has been operated by Mr. Johnny Ferguson, who has the very best wishes and the support of the community. We see Frances Crawford often, but while she said it was a relief to be out from under the responsibility of the newspaper, it's our bet that she often misses it. This is Mr. Glenn A. Pierce of the United States Department of Agriculture inspecting potatoes for grade and quality at the Cordy shipping shed across from the Busy Bee garage. We didn't intend to use much film on this subject, but we were very surprised at the extent of the activity at these sheds during the shipping season. In years past, most of the labor was local. Much of the labor is still supplied locally, but in recent years a major part of the labor has been done by migrant workers, mostly of Mexican extraction. These people, usually an entire family traveling together, train themselves into exceptional workers. They are very efficient, and when the shipping season on potatoes is finished here, they move on to another crop somewhere else. The potato crop is of major financial importance to Baldwin County, and these potatoes are shipped to all points in the United States. We were impressed by the enormous quantity of produce handled by just this one shed. We thought that you might be interested in seeing these pictures too. Since the days of the bay boats, people have come to the beaches of Fairhope from Mobile and surrounding areas for the 4th of July and Labor Day celebrations. These celebrations were at one time the place to go on holidays. Music, boxing, beauty contests, and many events attracted thousands to the 4th of July celebrations. Today, because of modern roads and transportation, many go to the Gulf or on visits to quite distant points on the holidays. Still, the crowds in Fairhope are large on holidays as many families come here for picnics on the beach. The 4th of July fireworks display couldn't be any better attended, as literally thousands turn out to ooh and ah the beautiful displays. Elbow to elbow, people line up on the municipal pier, along the beaches, and on the bluff, and the water is almost solid with boats filled with eager spectators. Of course, one can expect great crowds on holidays, but the people of Fairhope enjoy the bay and its beaches almost year-round. As mentioned earlier in this film, there's a quiet beauty here not found anywhere else. Some say that the introduction of the fire ant from South America is responsible for the development of the 1962 dance craze, the twist. Like it or not, happily or sadly, depending on your point of view, the twist is here. Most of the music for the twist and the rock and rollers sounds like a jazzed-up variation of chopsticks, and many of the popular singers sound as if they were undergoing major surgery without an anesthetic. And from these evaluations, you may draw your own conclusions. I guess what really counts is the kids like it. Or does that really count? basketball is a little more my speed. Fewer performers, more spectators. In making this film, we talked to many people, and I think it's safe to play favorites in this case. Mabel Gray provided us with an hour of delightful conversation. She was so interesting that we could have devoted this entire film to her. She remembers her year as Fairhope's first school teacher fondly. One of the nice things about making this film has been the discussions with people like Jim and Piney Gaston, Howard Ruge, Helen Call, Joe Snyder, and many others. We haven't been able to use all the material obtained. Our very sincere thanks to all of these people, and a very special thanks to Mabel Gray, Fairhope's first school teacher. Fairhope has grown in leaps and bounds in the past 12 or 14 years. It's still a small town, the kind it's nice to call home. As with all hometowns, it's not so much where it is as to who is there, and it's where your growing up memories are, no matter where your town is. When you've been away from home for a while, you'd give your eye teeth just to see these familiar faces. You probably don't know these people well, but still you recognize them as a part of home, just as you are also a part of home. In most communities, you need no more than these people, the nostalgia, the closeness of the town you grew up in. In Fairhope, there are these factors, plus a very special magic, because there's no doubt that Fairhope is located in one of the most beautiful places to be found anywhere in the world. Hello, Mr. Nargang. Our intrepid postmaster, Mr. Mason. Mr. Sam Price. Gavin Hunter. Mr. C.A. Gaston, everybody calls him Corny, is manager of the Fairhope Single Tax Corporation office. Mr. Gaston appears in the first class picture of 1897-98. Do you recognize him? Helen Call, who for many years operated the Pine Quad shop. The kids all know this gentleman, Mr. Merlini, principal of Fairhope's Grammar School. Mr. Jim Gaston, founder of the Gaston Motor Company, and his wife, Piney, who confesses that she did climb to the ledge of the old water tower. Mr. Lipscomb, principal of the high school since 1958. Mr. Pete Burns, city manager. Wouldn't you know that we'd make a film this long and not have a picture of Mayor Snyder? We just couldn't get together. Had a nice long talk with him, though. I kind of picture Mr. Snyder as being a cross between Will Rogers and Harry Truman. I hope he's not a Republican. City Hall. They're talking about building a brand new City Hall. Fairhope found it necessary to increase the capacity of the city water system, and a new 1 million gallon reservoir has been constructed. Well, right here it's being constructed. Anybody for instant reservoir? How was that? I'm told that the old 75,000 gallon tower will come down. It's been there since 1935. When coming home from a long trip, its light meant that home was near. Already the Pine Quad Shop, the Creamery, the Old Jordan Clinic, Burkell's, the Beach Theater, and many more are just memories. The new buildings and landmarks are the heritage and the nostalgic memories of a newer generation. A new post office building is being built on Section Street, and when it goes into service, the Fairhope Courier is scheduled to move into the old post office building. It's amazing and difficult to believe that Bedsoles now stands where the original Mershon Brothers store once stood, and that McKean's is where the Wheeler Young store used to be. Our town is becoming a very modern community, and its expansion begets more expansion. Well, sir, I guess we couldn't make a film on Fairhope without saying that it's the garden spot of the Deep South, land of tall pines and beautiful women, where the air is scented with wisteria and honeysuckle and pines, where the sun shines every day. Of course, these things are true. Ours is a beautiful town with a rich heritage, truly a very special place, and more than that, it's your hometown. Thank you, and good night.